Hey everybody, it's Cory Ballad, and I'm back again with another video. I'm gonna do a little roundup. I did one earlier, and this is my second one. I liked it and it was cool. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, view my other videos, past videos in the past and all that. Share the video on other platforms. Leave comments below about what you think about what I've discussed on this video. Visit me on other platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Tumblr, or visit my blog, corysound.blogspot.com. So this is another roundup. So I watched some miniature documentaries. There's this Vox, I guess that's how you say it. I don't know what it is, if it's a magazine, but they do little documentaries that are a little interesting. They have a lot of them about music and whatnot. So yeah, I've been watching a couple of them. So I've watched 3 of them. I think I'm gonna put all of them on this video. Yeah, I'm just gonna put everything on this video. I was thinking about splitting it up, talk about 2 of them and then 1 of them, because 2 of them kind of go together. But I have Why Disco Made Pop Songs Longer. Then I have The Ingredients of a Classic House Track, and How a Recording Studio Mishap Shaped 80s Music by Vox. So it's very interesting. It's about 3 different music genres, 3 different time periods in music, and so I watched them together, and I thought it'd be cool to talk about them together, put them together, and see where it goes. So I have, where was I at? I'm talking about the disco one. It's called Why Disco Made Pop Songs Longer. It's a video, a miniature documentary on Vox. And so I'm going to just summarize it, what it was saying, pretty much. And then first, before I start talking about my notes. Okay, so the whole premise of this video was, it was talking about why songs had to be longer during the disco era, because before disco was in the 70s, as pretty much we all know, it was a music genre in the 70s where people danced to it at clubs and things like that. And so before the 70s, in the 50s and 60s, which is considered the rock era of music, rock and roll music was considered to be born in the 50s. So through the 50s and the 60s, so before the 70s, the beginning of the rock era till the 70s, there was rock and pop and all that stuff, right? And on the charts, well, everything was, if you made it to the charts, you were considered pop music, right? So pop music had a certain formula. People started discovering this, especially like during the Motown era, when they created a formula to make pop music, make music be ready to dominate the charts, basically. And this formula included the length of time that the song would be, because they found that a song that was about 2 to 3 minutes long was pop worthy, and it would make people like it and get on the charts, basically, and be a big seller on the charts, right? So okay, so in the 70s, there started popping up these big clubs, like in New York City and stuff, where people would dance all night, and they like dancing to the same song for a really long time. And so there was DJs in the clubs, and there were records. They have a record. The song was on a record, and it was usually on a record called a 7-inch a 7 or a 45. It was called 7 because that was the length of it. It was like the literal length, not the length of the song, but the length of the record itself. The record was 7 inches long, I guess, and it was also known as a 45 because it was like the speed, or the I'm not really technical with music, it was 45 RPMs or beats per minute, or I don't know if that's RPMs. It might be another little whatever. It was measuring how many beats per minute or whatever that the song was. So they would call it a 7-inch or 45. But only like 3 minutes could fit on one side of the record. So they would have to like have 2 turntables at once and flip it. I mean, and like when it ended on one, they had to play it on another one so they could keep the song going. Then they started saying, oh, the club started being big. Record company said, okay, let's put the record on 2 sides of the 7-inch. But then the DJs would have to flip it. They would have to flip the record, right? So then the record labels were like, oh, we could put it on one side, but then that would compromise the quality of the sound of the record. It would make it sound, it wouldn't have a good quality sound to it. So they were having this dilemma, and 12-inch records were out. It was 12 inches. The record was 12 inches long, and or wide, or whatever, and it would basically be used, well, only be used for like albums, like more songs, not just one song. But then they started saying, oh, we could put one song on a 12-inch record, and they started making 12-inch singles, and that became popular during disco. And so then it made the length of songs longer, and that continued throughout like the 80s, early 90s, the 70s through the 80s, a little bit of the early 90s, longer records. So that was pretty much the summary of it. Just a few notes I had about it. So it was talking about the history of disco with Donna Summer's song "I Feel Love." It was which was, they considered the start of electronic dance music. Maybe I should put this on more than one video because this is gonna be long. Okay, it was the start of electric dance music. It was created by electronic means instead of physical instrumentation, right? So yeah, so I said the 12-inch single before there was the 7-inch single. The songs, yeah. The dance clubs needed longer songs. Yeah. Okay. Eddie Kendricks, who is one of the lead singers in the Temptations. Well, he's one of the singers in Temptations. I don't guess there's really a lead singer of the Temptations. I don't think so. I think he was one of them. It was him and David Ruffin, I think. Okay, his song "Girl, You Need a Change of Mind" is considered the first disco song, and this is where I was talking about. It was longer. It was like 6 minutes or something, 5 or 6 minutes, and they had made it a single, but they had put it on both sides of the 7-inch record, and it compromised the sound and made it sound a little bit horrible, right? Okay, yeah, I was talking about how the clubs were big during that time, and you know, usually a song would get on the charts and be #1 or whatever based on it being on the radio. But during that time, songs were getting on the charts based on these clubs in New York playing the songs. And So they had Barry White. They said that Barry White's Love Theme was one of the songs that went to #1 on the Billboard charts, based on the club play in New York, and it was an instrumental song. I found that was interesting. They said Tom Moulton was a guy who he created the 12-inch single. He thought of the idea. He said, let's put on the 12-inch. What else did they say? But it was a problem. The record labels didn't know how the 12-inch singles were going to do. A song by Double Exposure, 10%, was the first 12-inch single, and it did really well. So then that's when the record labels began to distribute the 12-inch singles. They found that it would be commercially viable and make them money. So they did that. It said a song by New Order called Blue Monday was the most commercially successful 12-inch single. So it sold the most copies in history, I guess, of a 12-inch single. What else did I have? Yeah, so then it also had, it was interesting, it played with the whole record labels and the commerciality and distribution of music and the commerciality of music and like the quality and all that stuff. Like, is this song being played because it's a good song, or is it that we're using these commercial tactics to make this song popular, right? Because they said eventually the record labels, they would use the 12-inch single as a way to extend the life of a commercially successful song on the pop charts. So they would have a regular or 7-inch single, and it would be on radio, and then after a couple of months it would be like losing popularity and then they would release the 12-inch single, and then it would remain on the charts after that because of the sales of the 12-inch. So yeah, and then it said during the 1970s and the 1980s the length of singles doubled. So they went from being like 2.5 minutes long to 3.5 minutes long to about 5 to 7 minutes long, I guess you would say, because that's double that. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. So yeah, that was that one. That was why disco made pop songs longer on Vox. So I'm going to have to put the other stuff on a different video because this one is kind of long and I thought it was going to be short like the other one. But the these documentaries were a little bit longer than the other ones on the first one I did. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to put it on another video. So anyway, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, visit my blog, corysong.blogspot.com, comment down below. Hope you learned something. I learned a little bit and it was very interesting. Okay, bye. Dude!